Hi, I'm Emily Ewing, and I am back talking to the very talented Carol Hodge about all things music. You can catch our previous chat about songwriting here on my YouTube channel, and the other chat before that over on Carol's Patreon page. So hello, Carol.
Hello. How are you? I was just thinking then. You said whatever it was, the very amazing Carol Hodge or whatever. We need a bit of a preface for you. The boundlessly brilliant Emily Ewing. There we go.
Thank you.
Exceptionally excellent. It's got to be alliterative. So exceptionally excellent Emily Ewing.
Thank you. We also need a theme tune as well.
Yeah.
Ewing and Hodge. So I thought we'd chat today about social media, the pros and cons, the impact it has on music, our music, and social media as a whole. So this first question is a little bit of one that's tied in. So do you feel any pressure from social media about your music and how much you need to share? And is there an impact on you when a post doesn't do well as an artist, and personally, does that have an effect?
Well, I try to always view social media as a game. And I think it's sometimes a game that I get a bit addicted to when I'm doing quite well at it. I'm like, always checking my phone, checking my high score and seeing what my character's doing. And it's quite interesting because I'm at a level now, like, not that I'm massively popular or anything, but I've spent the past 10 years building up a following on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. To the point where whenever I share something, I kind of get a certain level of response every time. So if I share something and I don't get a sort of the usual baseline level of response, I sort of think, oh, I wonder why. And often it's to do with algorithms. Oh, that's what I try and tell myself. It's not to do with
just the algorithm.
people disliking what I have to share. Yeah, so I'm kind of quite pragmatic about it, I think. But to be honest, I think I'm quite fortunate in that I've not really had a lot of negative feedback on my social media, apart from Twitter, a little bit, but generally, yeah. What I do is kind of quite consistent, and it tends to just get. Sometimes there's a little peak, and usually when if there's a big dip in response, it's because it's often like, oh, I've shared a YouTube link, and Facebook and Instagram, they don't like taking you off the site, so they put that further down in the feed and in the rankings, and fewer people see it.
Do you think it has impacted like self-esteem, even not necessarily presently, but in the past? Has lack of response made you kind of go like,
fine then,
is it me?
Bother? Yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting when the Facebook memories and things pop up, and I look and it'll be something that I posted and like 3 people will have liked it, and I'm like, but I don't ever like. I think, oh gosh, that's a bit harsh. Like, nobody responded to that. But that might have been 10 years ago. And I don't ever recall feeling a little bit, feeling dejected when that happened. But I'm also always very conscious of the positive level of response I get. I've got a lot of friends on social media who might see the response I get and feel a bit put out by it. So there's that going on as well. I sort of think like, oh, well, so-and-so's a musician and they're sharing stuff and they've not been at it as long as I have. They've not spent a decade building up a following. And they might see the response I get and feel a bit like, oh, a bit put out and dejected because it's all about comparison, isn't it? That's the downside of it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say there is the comparison thing, and it has impacted me in the past. Try not to so much now. I know we were touched upon it when we were talking about doing this, of stepping away from phones and social media for a bit.
Yeah.
But it always has been tricky, especially when you're excited about something or you've put your heart and soul, like we all do, into our music. This will be really good. Who cannot like this?
Yeah.
And it's met with
tumbleweed,
a neutral response.
Yeah.
So that can sometimes be a bit tough.
How do you feel about social media, about what you post and how people respond to it?
I'm okay with it now. In the past, I have felt like a competitive element, where, well, they've posted so and so, they're getting more. But there's enough room for everybody, really. Social media is a massive machine. And like you said, algorithms play a massive part in it. And that's not necessarily my fault or anybody's fault. So it's cool now. But in the past, I've been really excited about a project and it hasn't done very well.
Yeah.
On the old likes or shares. And it kind of makes you go like, oh, well, why do I bother? But then you're kind of in the wrong business if that's purely what it's based upon. You do it because you love to do it. And that, So I focus on that now. The love is way more important than a response. I mean, please download our music and stuff, but don't stop doing that. But you have to do it for yourself, I think. Yeah. And anything else is a massive bonus.
You got to do it for yourself, and you got to remember that social media is only one element of the massive industry that you're working in.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily translate to success. It doesn't translate to sales. It doesn't translate to the number of people who come to your gigs or who, join your mailing list or, play you on the radio or actually hear a song and like it and follow you on Spotify or whatever. It can be quite deceptive. I mean, I've seen some people who people who, from their social media numbers and from their Spotify numbers, I've been like, oh my gosh, they're doing really, really well. Yeah. And then they book tours and I just think, why are they playing that tiny venue? And then you maybe go to the gig or you hear about the gig and you hear it was really badly attended and you're like, okay. Because it's never a guarantee, is it? And it's often... there's certainly a certain level of illusion going on.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a smoke and mirrors about it. Not all is as it seems. And I think that's important for everybody to remind ourselves that most people will post the positive stuff. It's great, rather than the hours of tears and costs, and you don't really see that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for more people to post about a bad recording session or...
Yeah, but I find that interesting. I find authenticity a lot more appealing than the same boring, filtered photos and angles. It's I'd rather see, up somebody's nose or hear them do a really bad vocal take in the studio. Because that, for me, it's reassurance that they're a human being and they're not some other kind of species, and that's why they're successful. Because this is a big mindset shift that I've been going through relatively recently. Is this idea that instead of viewing other people as your competitors, you're viewing them as your allies and.
Yes.
And reassurance that the success of others means that you could also be successful because you're doing the same things that they're doing, or you're similar to them in one way or another. Not that there's one spot for that shape of and sound of thing, and they've taken it, so that means you can't do anything.
There's enough room for everybody.
Yeah, there's not a limit.
And you've posted some posts of yourself which have been really inspiring, of the anti. Selfie.
Yeah, that's just
certain angles. What inspired that?
Yeah, I did that the other week. I was I took a photo and I just thought, oh, that looks a bit posy. I'll do one from the other angle, and then my belly hanging out. You could see it on my nose. I was like, there we go. I'll just put them both up and just so people can see this is just a little reminder. This is all a game. It's all, you know, none of it's real. Don't look
but
like
that's
that
also how
in
we
real
all
life.
look as well when the front camera comes on and you're looking at
But I find it fascinating that we as individuals, we never actually know what we look like, because you will always see yourself in a reflective surface. So even like the best mirror in the world, this is still not giving you an accurate view. Yeah, and cameras are also different, and like whatever, and we know now all about camera angles and how they change everything. Like you know, not even getting onto like filters and Photoshop and stuff. It's like, yeah, we never know what a person looks like, and then when you actually see a person in the flesh, the way your brain views them is that prism is just so, there's so many filters going on there that we never see. Yeah, we never see each other properly. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah, it's a shame that has to, or that is the norm, because surely we know that filters are, or social media isn't real.
Yeah.
Just kind of a shame that people do live behind that. Yeah, the smoke.
Yeah, and I think even if people talk the talk and say, and I include myself in this, you know, it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's not a competition, and, you know, I know it's all filters and everything, and, you know, I want authenticity in a person and stuff. It's like, but if you're having a bad day, it's just a bit much sometimes, isn't it? And you need to step away from it.
Yes. And are you doing anything actively to step away from it? Because I know we're of, which is one of my questions that I'll say a bit later on. I know we're of a generation that was before the internet and during it. So I was just wondering if there's anything you do to not be totally sucked in by that world of filters and everything's fine. Do you do stuff for your mental health?
Yeah, well, partly with filters, because I don't really know how to use them properly. So I have that. I have as an exennial, I've got that on my side, I suppose. Yeah, I've been finding it, for me, it's just it's getting away from screens generally, just as a sort of, you know, blue light brain overworking type thing. I just sometimes just turn my phone off, or just turn the notifications completely off, so I don't get any, because I find myself being sucked into that. I got a lot better at it, but you know, a few years ago I was the sort of person that if I could see someone was online on WhatsApp or Messenger and I sent them a message and I saw they'd read it, I'd be like, where's my response?
It's a killer.
Come on. Hurry up. I can see you there. Oh my God, why haven't they responded? And I'd just spiral, and now I'm just like, okay, well, they'll just reply when they're ready. It's fine.
Suit yourself. Yeah.
And I do that myself. I'll read something and I'll be like, right, I'm busy at the moment. I'll figure that out later, you know. So
yeah. I suppose it's partly and this is like not tarring everyone with the same brush, but I think because we do live in a society where everything is right now.
Yeah,
and that's instant music, takeaway, and foods, and so I suppose there is that thing, if people don't instantly reply or respond to a post about music, that it just make you feel a bit. But I think you're doing the right thing, where it's kind of is, let's leave it with them, and I've done all I can do for now.
Yeah, but that's all tied up with everything though. That's tied up with, like you say, the pace of life. And I always feel better if I take time out, if I take time to like meditate or exercise, or I do quite a lot of journaling, like handwriting stuff.
Yeah,
find that very useful, and that just, all those sort of things just seem to switch my brain onto a different mode, so that I don't have that anxious keep checking, keep posting, keep liking, like, keep engaging, like, you know, I've got to keep doing the game, otherwise I'm going to lose. It's like
the rat race.
Yeah, sometimes it is like a virtual rat race. It's insane. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Because that's the flip side of it. It's, you know, I said about you get a certain level of, you know, when you have a certain number of followers, you expect a certain level of response. Yeah. If I was to then not post for like 3 weeks, when I posted again, I'd be right down the bottom of the algorithm list. Because that's
but don't they say that supposedly when our phones do chime or ding, it does something to our brains that we really like it.
Oh, it's like a dopamine hit. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say one of like a dopamine or something, but I was just like, don't want to offend the science community by getting it. But no, I was going to say, does that kind of, it's meant to do something to our brains where we're like, got to constantly, keeps you in that kind of cycle of checking and
it's an addiction.
Stuff and,
it's the same thing. Any addictive substance, it does the same thing. It fires up the same parts of your brain when you get that hit of instant gratification. And that's what I mean. As somebody who's struggled with certain substances and certain, like, you know, addictive behaviours, I find it a lot easier sometimes to just be like, nope, turn the notifications off so I can't hear it, I can't see it. I'm just going to put myself totally into whatever task I'm doing at the time. And that helps. I know that helps my brain a lot. So
good.
Yeah.
And hopefully more of us will start doing that.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people do, though. I think our people our age, I think the younger generation, it's a very different story.
The wrinkles.
Yeah. People our age.
Those kids.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you what you think about Facebook and similar social media sites about having the option where musicians or creators or businesses, small businesses, can pay for their posts to reach a bigger audience. Do you think that's social media exploiting? Or do you think it's quite a good move to be able to invest in promoting yourself? It goes back to algorithms.
Yeah.
But do you think it's wrong that they're saying, pay to be with this audience?
At one point, I was very like anti. I'm not paying. But now I'll be honest, I do pay for Facebook boosts, because it does seem to get people to respond, and I do notice that when I do it, I get a lot more people visiting my website, which is what I'm trying to do as a small independent label. I'm trying to encourage people to come off Facebook and visit my site and join us on my mailing list, so I can get in touch with them straight away without social media. You know, that's the aim. I think with a lot of people at the moment is they're trying to get, you know, a way of contacting people beyond Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. So so I know what you mean, though. It's a double-edged sword, but I'm kind of, it's one of those things. It's I think rather than being indignant about it to the point of like, well, I'm not joining in and I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. You know, I find it is quite helpful to try and get what I'm doing out there. So I just do it. Yeah. Which is not very punk rock of me, but
it's definitely like a double-edged sword, because there's a part of me that's like, you know, the creative industries are so squeezed for like money and people investing in them and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's been the odd like music video I've had up. Anyway, I've never paid for anything yet. That's not to say I wouldn't. So there's like the odd music video, like our video next in line, where you kind of think, is it worth like however much it is now?
Yeah, it's not much. You know,
because it varies. Because Instagram does it as well, doesn't it? Or everybody. I don't think Twitter does it. Or does it? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really good at Twitter. I don't really. Still don't really know how to work it.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. Like, I think they're like massive companies. I don't think they need to squeeze money out of small businesses or creatives. Yeah. But at the same time, it's, if you do benefit from it, anybody that does that, then
I disagree. I disagree with it ethically. I think you know, Facebook are, you know, a gargantuanly, you know, well-off company, and they don't need to exploit the little man, but
it's the reality, isn't it?
That's the reality, and you either join in with the rules at this point or you don't, and that's just the way it is. I don't think me putting a ranty post up about having to pay for Facebook ads is going to actually change anything. So but
you have seen benefits from doing that.
I've seen more people visiting my website outside of Facebook. So yeah, it's definitely reaching people.
Yeah, something to consider.
Yeah, because ultimately it's, you know, I'm trying to make a living out of being a musician, and this is one of the ways that I can potentially do it, is by advertising and you know, and all I've done is basically share my advert is a music video with my website link in it, and that's it.
So you don't do it for every post. It's just
no, not at all. It's just I'm literally doing it to try and flog my album, you know, because then when I do that, it means I can make another album. So that's literally what it is, and I can eat.
I suppose any business would put money into marketing themselves.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword, but there we go.
Yeah, I'm very much getting over the idea of, you know, I shouldn't be breaking any sacred rules of punk rock in order to try and, you know, grow my audience as an independent artist who runs their own label on a shoestring budget. You know, I don't feel bad about that. If people like what they hear and want to follow me or like buy my music, then that's amazing. And if they don't, and they think that I'm selling out in my tiny miniature way, then that's fine. They're entitled to their opinion, aren't they?
You do what you need to do. And again, this kind of echoes a little bit what we were saying earlier. We grew up in a generation before and during the internet. But do you see any generational differences with how music is seen and used, and just generally socially? I believe there's a thing called TikTok. I'm on there.
Which I did get an account, but I've never posted on it, and I don't. Again, it makes me feel old because I feel like there's just something about it that I'm not quite understanding, because it just doesn't appeal to me personally. I think it's very much. I think music is all being condensed down to 30 seconds now, whether it's Instagram Reels or TikTok.
The instant.
Yeah. No. And I think that's kind of a shame, really. But I guess if you think about it mathematically, if you're like, okay, well, I'm only going to listen to 30 seconds of a song, then you might listen to a lot more artists than you would otherwise. If you're like, well, you know, I can listen to like 6 times as many in this 3-minute block of time I have to listen to music than just putting one song on. So yeah, it could be a good thing. Yeah.
But is that like a generational difference as well? You see that the younger folk are just.
I think it's it's a different way of consuming music. I think it's a fallacy to believe that young people have no attention span. That really annoys me when people do that, because if you think about, I don't think that's true. I think that's just a bit of an urban myth. But I do think they consume music in a slightly different way, because young people don't really invest in albums anymore, and their relationship with music, because it's all free and online, is different to when I, you know, saved up my pocket money and spent £15 on a CD that I then played to death because I only had 6 other CDs. You know, it's like, it's a different way, I think, of engaging with it.
Yeah, I think it's just like again echoes what we were saying before. It's definitely like I don't want the word expectancy, but there is maybe a demand that it's like everything's now. Yeah, like a right now kind of culture that's coming out, and it is for free. They might not see the overall value of what's gone into making a record. It's an instant thing on your phone that pops up, and
but I
which
think
you can understand, that's not their fault. It's no one's fault. That's just kind of the evolution of social media and consuming stuff.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, I think it'd be wrong to say like, oh yeah, like young people just want constant instant gratification and they want the dopamine hits, and they don't really engage on anything in it on a deep level, because you know, you look at somebody like Billie Eilish, who has been, you know, is an absolute megastar now, and her target audience are teenagers, and she sings about, you know, very dark emotional stuff. It's not all like, you know, like big bangs and whistles and you know, fast paced beats and swear words. You know, it's
it means something.
Yeah, it's very deep, heartfelt stuff. So and very slow. A lot of what she, you know, it's very.
Yeah, people have had some amazing careers from TikTok. You can use, you know, I think it's up to 3 minutes now, but you could use up to like 15 seconds of a song. And some people have had like amazing careers come out of their song going viral on TikTok, because people have used it as a dance routine or
and that's the thing,
kind of.
Yeah, that's the bit I still don't quite understand, which, you know, probably makes me sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but on a face, if I think about it, right, okay, if I put a song out and it went viral and it meant that, you know, thousands of people were filming themselves doing something to a part of my song, I think that'd be amazing. You know, I'd feel really good about that. I'd feel like, wow, what you want as a songwriter is for your songs to go out and be a part of as many people's lives as possible. And I guess it's, you know, on that level, it's quite a remarkable thing to happen. But on another way you could look at that is like, oh, it's just, they've just taken a tiny little snippet out of context, and it's just people, you know, there's one that I saw, there's like a viral trend where you just close your eyes and then you open your eyes, and it's like, it's like, why? I don't
that's interesting. I mean, what becomes viral is interesting.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's nothing more than just something like that. And it's like, well, how? Sorry, I let him punch my thing. But you're kind of like, you're kind of like, well, how does that get millions of... Because it's so simple.
What cultural value does that have, really? How is that helping people? Well, this is another thing. It's like, I was going to say, how are we evolving spiritually or morally or however through that 15 seconds of someone just opening their eyes? But then again, it's like, well, what's wrong with just having a bit of fun, Carol? Shut up, it's just entertainment. People do this for a bit of a release and a bit of a relief at the end of the day. It's like, that's fine as well. So
I know during lockdown with COVID, TikTok, that's why I joined, because it was kind of something to do during that time. And apparently there was quite a big growth of people of a certain age joining, because the same thing. But well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see like the evolution of how that progresses and what the next big platform's going to be.
I always think it's, you know, again, I'm just conscious that I'm just a sour-mouthed old hag. I'm just always think of the Andy Warhol thing of like, you know, his prediction that everybody will have their 15 minutes of fame, and now it's like everyone will have their 30 seconds of fame.
15 seconds.
Oh, 15 seconds. There you go. They're even more poetic. There's 15 seconds, finally. You know. Like, what will we go? Where will it end up? Is this the thin end of the wedge? Will we all be doing like 1 second clips? And that's what you got to do. You got 1 second to make the world like you. Go, you know, is that what's going to happen? I don't know.
Maybe. Probably. We'll have to start closing our eyes and
just open your eyes. Oh my gosh, she's a star, baby.
Millions of followers. And my last question is what you think about cancel culture on social media.
Cancel culture.
The cancel culture, where someone has said something, a celebrity, musician, and it comes back to bite them.
Well, that's a whole big can of worms, isn't it? I think, first of all, that based on personal experience, that somebody said decades ago should not be dug up and made into a little career-ending bomb. because I just think people change so much, you know, and that happens a lot. You know, there's a lot of things like, oh, this person's like become famous. Like, oh, I found a Twitter from like, you know, 2006. Was Twitter around then? I don't know. But you know what I mean? So they'll find things that people posted when they were a teenager, you know, and they'll you know, it'll become national news or whatever. And it's like, oh, they're a racist. It's like, because they shared an inappropriate joke when they were 18, you know, and now they're a fully formed human and they're doing something successful. And that means that thing they did, you know, when they're a kid should then ruin their career. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with the idea that people can't make a mistake, because people can make a mistake and people make mistakes all the time. I think it's terrifying that if you're in the public eye, you are on this tightrope where if you say one thing wrong or you do one thing that's not cool, then that's it, game over. I think if you do those things and you put your hands up and just say, oh God, I get it now, I shouldn't have said that, or like, I can't believe I did that, I'm so sorry. Like, it's about how you respond to it afterwards.
I think I agree.
You know, owning your own mistakes, I think, is important.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think people, you know, the pressure is so on people in the public eye, and you know, a lot of the time, people want them to mess up, don't they? And
well, I was about to say that because I was going to say with celebrities now, it's not just can you sign this bit of paper? People have their phones on them and filming them all the time. So any mistakes, if having a bad day, then that goes on the internet, and it's
oh, I mean, I can't
a massive.
I can't imagine that level of fame where you literally, as soon as you leave your house, you're having people following you, because that's the thing. It's like, you know, previously it was like the paparazzi, but now it's like everyone's got a camera. Everyone's got, and they're not just taking a photo; they're filming you going to the shop in your dressing gown to buy milk or whatever. You know, it's awful. Now. You never get any time off, and it's like, you know, if you're a you know, a footballer or a musician or whatever, like, that's your job and your vocation. Like, you're not, when you're just like walking down the street, you're not doing your job, but you're expected to be this perfect example of, you know, you never have a bad day, you're always nice to people. Like, it's like, I just think that's a bit much. So I don't, you know, I kind of feel sorry for these huge celebrities when they finally snap and they have a bad day and punch a photographer or tell someone's kid to F off or whatever. Just so, What do you think about the whole cancel culture thing?
It's not a very exciting answer. Kind of just agree with everything you've said, really. I think like, we're all human beings, as long as it's not repeated behaviour, because it's just, obviously that's just like, not good. But no, I just agree with everything you've said. I think we're human beings as long as there's growth. And I don't think it's fair that things do get dug up from when someone said something years ago. Again, there is acknowledging it and not doing it again, but there is so much pressure. Yeah. And I mean, to just be like this squeaky
there's certain
clean,
things
just,
like, you know, if you've, you know, think about the Me Too movement, there's certain things that are, you know, certain behaviours that are pretty much unforgivable. And I mean, I have an issue with people being deplatformed, which is something slightly different. Because I think that if somebody has what you consider to be a very fringe or you know, inappropriate perspective on something, that they should be allowed the freedom of speech to express that, and then you should be allowed to contest what they've said. Because the danger is if everything's got to be really clean and sanitised and there's no space for debate, those extremist views are going to be driven underground, and that's where the really horrible stuff starts happening. You know, whereas if you're like, I can't believe they think that, let them come and speak at this university or whatever, just let them have it, and then we'll have questions afterwards, won't we? And we'll reveal to everybody what an idiot we are or whatever. It's like, that's important to have that. I
think mistakes are part of the human experience as well. Totally. How can anyone learn or grow as an individual if they're not? They don't make some kind of mistake.
What is it?
That's the issue now. It's just everything's so public and everything's shared all the time. A lot of people have their mistakes in front of massive audiences.
Yeah. To err is human, to forgive divine.
Yeah.
So I've got a new isn't it?
Chair, so that's what I keep.
I like it. Swivel away, baby.
Swivel. Disappear. But I was just also going to add with that, do you think that, where social media and those companies are concerned, do you think they need to step in, like on Twitter, Facebook, where they see cancel culture? Not again, policing is probably an incorrect term again, but do you think there needs to be some kind of where they step in?
I mean, there's a whole thing, isn't there? Is like if somebody's spreading like hateful propaganda on Facebook or whatever. I mean, that's happening now, isn't it? They've obviously developed an algorithm where I had a review that I posted a photo of the other day, and it came up with a COVID warning because the review on the column next to mine had the word COVID towards the bottom, and it was just like, okay. So it's like, there's a link now to the NHS website and stuff on that post because it's got the C word in it. So I think if technology is capable of doing that, could there not be other algorithmic triggers or whatever? And it's like, if something comes up like, this post might be racist, here's some information about what they're talking about from a more neutral perspective or whatever. I think that might be quite cool because
that's a really good idea.
Try and educate people, rather than just shutting everyone down that you don't agree with, like listen to what they have to say and then provide a more rational argument, provide a very calm rebuttal of what they're doing. Because a lot of the time when people have these extremist views, it's because they're uneducated or because they've never been properly listened to and they're getting a reaction out of people by being extremist. A lot of the time, it's just individual humans who are imperfect and need love and, respect.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody should have that, because your behaviour obviously dictates how you should be treated. But I think in the very core of it all, if you strip all the layers away, we're just all frightened little kids inside trying to do the right thing and get approval from people. So
that's a great idea though, because obviously, like you said, there must be some key words that do get flagged up. Like you said, that's how algorithms work, and with YouTube, we recommend. So there's some kind of data being, well, obviously, but something's being stored about what we type in and look at and stuff. So that's a great idea. That
so for example,
you've said this. Here's this charity.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I've got. I said to Carol earlier, there's a fly buzzing around.
Oh, can you hear it? Is he made an appearance?
Then I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Well, things like
it's trying to get its 15 seconds of fame. There it is. But anyway, great idea.
Yeah, like immigration, for example, is always a political hot potato, isn't it? So anytime anybody posts something like, oh, there's this many, I think there's too many Afghani people coming to the UK, if they could then get a link to a
charity,
the actual statistics of, immigration in the UK in the past year or whatever, the official government or, government neutral statistics, and then at least they're getting facts, and it's not all just hearsay and like, oh well, so and so down the pub says that they're coming over here and stealing all our jobs, and it's like, well, give people some facts and some other perspectives, because people are a lot more intelligent than they're given credit for as well. They're capable of looking at
places
other
to
things.
donate to as well, or support this small business. So I think that's a great idea. That's like an automatic thing that appears underneath the status or something.
So they've obviously got the technology. So I think use it a bit more. Yeah.
Well, that concludes our conversation about social media. For anyone watching, I will put mine and Carol's social media beneath this video, so you can follow us, check out, download, stream our music, see what we're up to, and all that. Yeah. So keep an eye out on that, and thanks for watching.
Awesome. Speak to you soon. Bye.